we're going to design our own single post template with Elementor Pro. We'll be creating one master template that powers all our blog posts, easily editable in one place at any time. So a quick preview of the single post design I'll be building in this lesson. And it's purposefully very, very simple, easy to read, focused on the content, and very easy to tweak later as we add our various sales funnels content to the site, as you'll see. To create a single post template with Elementor Pro, we come to, you've guessed it, My Templates, our template library. It's a single template, so under single, and add new single. Here we need to select which post type we want this template to be applied to. So here it's posts. We don't want this applied to standard pages or anything else. Name can be single blog post, that's fine. We might later want to create another single template for pages or the 404 page or something like that. So this is clear, this template is for blog posts for our future reference. And create template. We're here in blocks again. Elementor has one pre-designed single post template available so far in blocks. You can see that here. I'd like to design my own template from scratch, so I'll click the X to close the template chooser down. First decision, 1 column or 2. I personally prefer 1 column for single blog posts because it really focuses the reader on reading the content itself. I'll show a sidebar, a second column, does give you the opportunity to place call-outs and adverts and promotions and other things. But as soon as the reader scrolls, they don't see that sidebar content anymore anyway. And I always find it better to have the promotion of your lead magnets and links to other important blog posts embedded within the post itself in context. If those are in a sidebar at the top of the page, they're a separate thing that people will skim past and be blind to. Call to action and important links, so important to the performance of our funnels, always perform much better in context within the post. It's not to say that sidebars are a bad idea, it's just a decision I've made here and the one that I've found works best for me. I will be adding those important assets to blog posts later in the course, but for now, I'll go with a 1 column section. In advanced, on this section, I'll add some padding inside this section for spacing before we add anything else. So I'll go 30 pixels left and right as always. And we'll have 40 pixels top and bottom. That's what it was for the blog archive too. Now to add some dynamic widgets to display our blog content. Let's keep this really simple. Simple is usually best. It doesn't really matter if it's the headline first or the featured image first, but here I'll go with the featured image first. Now, all the dynamic widgets are under the theme elements section, so I'll come down to that and drag in the featured image widget. So this is the featured image from the very latest blog post, dynamically pulled into our template. Now the original I uploaded as a featured image for this post was 800 pixels wide, and that looks good here. I don't want a really wide image anyway on these posts, but in case the client uploads all kinds of image sizes to their posts, let's force all featured images to be the size that we want in this design. So we do that in image size and then custom. I'll set the width to be 800 and the height to be 420 and apply. There's no change here, of course, because that's the exact size of image I uploaded anyway, but in future, any featured images that are taller or wider than that will be cropped to 800 by 420 so they're all the same shape and ratio on every post. Now the headline. Now for the headline, that's the post title widget, and again, that's under theme elements. I'll drag it into place. So again, this is the title from the most recent post I added. I must say I quite like the 10 ways you can live more sustainably post. The images in that are really nice. So let's instead choose to preview that one when we build this template. Now to do that, we come down to the settings icon, that's in the bottom left, and then in preview settings, I'll start to type the name of the post I want to see here, so it's 10 ways you can live. There it is. Alright, apply it in preview. And now we see the content here from that post while we're designing this template, which is great. Let's add the actual post content itself now. As the post content widget, it's another dynamic widget. Now notice how the headline and the text stretch right across the full width of the column here. If you remember at the start, we set our content width at 1200 pixels in Elementor settings. So our text here is spanning that full 1200 pixels width, and that's far too wide for text content. It's actually really hard to read. We need shorter line lengths. So I want to reduce this entire column to 800 pixels wide. That's the same as the image here. So to do that, we need to override the global content width for this section. As you might imagine, we do that in this section settings. I'll set that to 800 pixels. There you go. Those line lengths are about right. And maybe to make them even more readable, we could shrink that down further to say 750 pixels. I think that's even easier to read, actually. That's okay. I'll leave that there. I'm going to leave the featured image at 800 pixels wide still. It doesn't matter that that image is slightly wider than the column it's in now. It shrinks down to fit anyway. So here's the post content. Now, if I wanted to style these H2 headings that I added in the post, I'll have to do that in my themes customizer settings, which trickle down through to Elementor. All right, let's take a look after the post content now. Once somebody's read the post, let's encourage them to share it. And for that, we need the Share Buttons widget. First, I'll remove Google+. Who uses that these days? I'll make these just the icon. How about minimal, skin, and circle? The target URL wants to be the current page. We always want these buttons to share the post that you're viewing at the time. Though notice, you can make these buttons share any other page or URL if you like. That'll come in handy later in the course, as you'll see. I won't mess with the style of these buttons, they're all okay. Let's just pop a heading above them, asking people to share. Always tell people what to do, a call to action. People most often won't do it otherwise unless you explicitly tell them. How about, enjoy this post? Please share. That'll do. And under the share buttons, we'll have our comments form, and that's the post comments widget over here. What you see here is the comment form design that comes with our theme. It's the only design available right now with this widget, but that's fine. I'm going to add a bit of space between them, and this time I'm going to use a spacer widget. Now, there are plenty of ways you can create space between things in Elementor. The spacer widget is just another. I'm going to make this 20, not 50. And I'll add another spacer after the post content too, just to space things out again. I'll make that 20 again. And let's preview this. Okay, that's looking pretty good. But again, there's an issue with the boundary between the content area and the footer call to action. It's a little bit weak. It's not very defined. Instead of a testimonial on single blog posts, I think what would be nice is a related posts block that displays more content for people to read next. I have that on my site at Design Build Web, you can see here. To handle that on my own site, I use a brilliant plugin called Related Posts for WordPress. There is a free version, but the paid version is really worth it. You get a lot more options than you do with the free one. It handles generating the related post the right way, with no load on your server like other related post solutions. You just pop a shortcode here in the Elementor editor, and it'll display the related posts automatically. But for now, how about a border on the bottom of the section? I can always change it later. After all, this is just one master template for all posts, so I only have to change it in this template in one place. So up to the top of the section and into Style, and then Border. And I'll set that to something chunky like a 20 pixel bottom border, and I'll set that with our dark grey colour from the palette. Let's width down to see that. Yeah, that looks pretty good for now, that's okay. Yeah, I like that. Just a few small tweaks. Let's come up to the top. I think we have too much space here at the top under the header because we've got the padding on the header plus the padding on the top of the section. There's quite a lot of combined white space. I'm going to remove that. So in the section, I'm going to actually remove that 40 pixels top padding that we added earlier. I think on this template, we don't need it. And if we look at the image and the headline, I think also these need just a little bit more spacing. They're a little bit cramped. So I'll edit the featured image into Advanced, and I'll add 20 pixels bottom padding. That looks better. I'll preview that again. Yeah, that's spot on. Right, back to the editor again. Let's publish this now. So I'm going to hit publish. Now we have the display conditions again for this template. All posts is fine. This template will then be applied to all posts, no matter what the category. And publish. Great. Now, last job. Test this on our actual blog posts. Let's see if all our posts use this template. So here's one. And that looks really good. Let's check out another one. Yep, and one more. And that's the Elementor Pro Single Post Builder in action.